Yes. Hi Christine, how are you? Nice to see you, sort of, you know what I mean. Nice of you to be here. Hi Natasha. Everybody okay? Hi Sandra. Oh, we're in for a treat later on tonight, aren't we? Our lovely Lisa doing our stenciling inky demo. Hi, hello Jean. I hate saying hi Jean because I always think it sounds wrong. So I'm sure you're used to it, Jean, aren't you? But I prefer to say hello. Yes, I'm okay, Christine. It's although the sun's out, it's quite chilly, so I'm quite glad I'm in my craft room, to be honest. It's always warm in here. Hi Nikki. I'll just give it a couple of minutes just to see if a few other people might join us. There's a couple of new faces. Hi Con, are you alright? Now I see your name on your profile is Con and your name's Connie, so which do you prefer? You tell me and then I'll get it right from now on. Hi Annette, hi Sarah. Oh, some nice new faces joining us today, so that's good. Thanks for popping along today. I hope you enjoy what I'm going to do with you today. So this is my card that I'm basing today's live on. It's not going to look anything like this. Well, it is, but it isn't. It's going to be completely different colours. The sort of layout will be quite similar, but I've used a different backing embossing folder, and I've used a different flower as well, so it'll look different and it's different colours. So let's get cracking then. This is probably the easiest easel card you'll ever make. Never been here before. Sorry, what's your name again? Hi Claire. Right, so yeah, today's is the easiest easel card you'll ever make, because all I've done is use a card blank, fold the top part in half, and it will sit like an easel card. Can't get much more simple than that, can you? Yes, you can use a piece of A4 card and measure it out and cut it and fold it, but why would you bother when it's this easy? So to start with, I'm going to put my card to one side and I'm going to start with my card base. Now, I think I've said to you before, I usually get my card bases from the range because it's easy. Hello Catherine, hello Josephine, Connie. Okay, Connie it is from now on. You're not late, Catherine, it's fine. So these are sold as 7x7 cards. Now I think they sell them on the size of the envelope rather than the size of the card. I've said to you before, they're never a 7x7 card. Hi Wendy. These are actually 6 3/4 square. I don't know whether you can see that. That's definitely not 7 inches, and it's not 7 inches square, so it's actually 6 3/4 inches. I think you're one of many, Sarah. We're all Lisa Horton Crafts aholics. So yeah, if you're going to buy card blanks from a shop in a pack, just measure them before you start, because the last thing you want to do is cut all your pieces out, sort of, if you're using matting and layering, to fit a 7x7 card, and then find out once you've cut everything that actually it's not. So measure them before you start. So as I say, this is 6 3/4. So actually 6 6/8. Okay, and that's what I'm working on today. So to measure half of this is going to be 3 3/8. So I'll just get my scoreboard out, make sure I'm on the inches, and then score it at 3 3/8. 3 and 1, 2, 3. That should be halfway, she said, fingers crossed. Should have actually done it on the inside of the card, because I'm going to fold it forwards on now. So that's that bit out of the way, and then all I'm going to do is fold it over on the crease line and just press it down, make sure the crease is nice and crisp. So you've got the basis of your easel card. How easy is that? Oh yes, Laxmi, the range do quite a lot of crafting stuff. Some of it's a bit pricey, but if you're desperate and you've got a range close, then yeah, it's ideal. So that's the basis of my easel card. Can't get much more simple than that now, can you? So yesterday's card was green based, and I think it was Claire that said to me it was very botanical looking, and I thought afterwards, yes, she's right, but today's isn't going to look botanical at all. So let me tell you which folders I'm going to be using today. We'll just run through the folders that I'm using. I'm going to be using the Dahlia, and I just love this. I don't know whether any of you have seen Mary's little hedgehog cards. I think they are fabulous. What a brilliant idea. I've never thought of a Dahlia as a hedgehog, but I can't see it as anything else now. So I'm using the Dahlia embossing folder, and obviously this one comes with a die so that you can cut it out. Cut it out first and then put your piece of card back in. Hi Claire, you made it home. Put your piece of card back in and then emboss it. And I'll show you my flower in a second. So that's my first one. The next one I'm going to be using is the birthday greetings one. And I'm actually not using the whole of this piece. I shall emboss the whole piece, but then I'm actually just cutting out the for you. I'm only using that little bit. Okay, and I'll explain how I cut it out in a second. And then the other one that I'm using is the In the Garden. And the only pieces that I've used on here for today's card are these two little butterflies here. One is slightly smaller than the other. I was hoping this one would be a little tiny bit smaller, but that's fine. It still looks okay to my mind, so I'm happy with that. On the original one I used the bee, as you can see here, and all I did was just fussy cut him out. And because the embossing is so deep on these folders, cutting these little intricate things out isn't as difficult as you might think it is. Because they are so deeply embossed, the scissors just follow the lines around so easily. They're dead easy to cut out of. So don't get phased by that. So that's the other one that I'm using. I'm also using the nested scalloped and plain circles because I want to cut out these pieces to sit my flowers and butterflies on, and they're perfect for that. If you haven't got this set, I would look at it. There are still 9 in stock, and at $14.99 for 12 dies, I don't think that's a bad price. They're so useful. I don't think you would. Personally, I wouldn't want to not have them in my stash. And for this card, I've used the very smallest scallop, the next one out and the next one out. I've left the largest one, and I've also used the plain edge that's right next to each of those scallops, and you'll see that in a second when I get started. Now I said to you that I cut out the For You on the embossing folder. Now I've actually used the nested stitched slims for that. It's not easy to say. Can't imagine it's easy when you've had a drink. And And all I've done really is use the die that fits around the words and cut it out. Let me see if I can find it. Okay. So what I've done is I've taken my die. I've taken, I think it was this one, and I've put it round the piece of card where I've embossed the For You, and I've left the end hanging out over my plates. And then what I've done is turned that die around and cut the other end. And yes, okay, the little holes don't quite line up, but I think a blind man on a galloping horse isn't going to see that. You can just cut them out with a craft knife if you wanted to, but I wouldn't worry about it. It's quite easy, a bit fiddly, but it's not that difficult to do, to be fair. And then on today's card, I'm also using Lisa's Banner Sentiments stamp and die set. In the garden, there are still 8 in stock, Wendy, for the In the Garden embossing folder. They are still in stock, and of course they are coming back to TV next week anyway, so you know, you won't really miss out. And like I say, the circles, there are still 9 in stock as well, so you know, you could just have a little shopping spree. We won't tell anybody. It's a shame to miss out on them, really, wouldn't it? So yeah, so I'm using this set today. And the thing I love about this set is that you can do so many sentiments all in one go. And the little, see these little tabs here? When you cut these out, when you stamp them, obviously those little tabs stamp onto your card so that you can then line up your cutting die. Now, I wouldn't throw these away, because obviously they're cut out, because this is what you get left with. And I think they look just like photo corners. So if you just put in a square framed, you know, a square piece of art onto a card, and you wanted to do something a little bit different, if you used 4 of those corners, like photograph corners that you put in an album, then you could use them for that, couldn't you? So you see, nothing's wasted. And I think that was, it just struck me. I just thought it was a neat little idea to share. Can't pick that one up, I'll have to leave that one. So there you go, those are the banner sentiments. So let's get cracking and put it all together. Let me put my sentiment back where it was. Now, I'm using pink and grey today, so do think pink and grey go really well together. I'm just going to stick these 2 down so that they have a chance to stick, and then I'm going to ink my embossed piece. Now this is a 6x6 piece of card just put into the Dahlia folder and just embossed, and I've used as is. Haven't cut any bits off it or anything like that. I've just trimmed it down so that it trims all the edges off. I mean, you can leave those edges on if you want it to look like a little frame, but I wanted it to be just as is, without the little frame border on it. So before I stick this down on here, I'm going to ink this up. Now, I used yesterday the Botanical Ferns folder for the background, and I did what our lovely Heidi went through the other night, and I just used a green ink pad and just gently rubbed it across the top of the botanical fern, which is why you can see the hints of green on it. But I didn't want to do that today. I wanted to use Lisa's brushes because A, I love them, and B, I wanted a different sort of finish to today. So let me put my ruler out of the way. So I'm using 2 different pinks, and they're both oxides, and I prefer using oxides for blending because I do think they blend nicer than the ordinary distress inks. I'm not saying the distress inks won't blend, they will, but you stand less chance of getting harsh lines with the oxides than you will with the ordinary distress inks. Next Friday, what I thought I might do is go through the differences between the distress inks and the oxides and show you how differently they work and how you can use them in different ways on different projects. So if you think that might be useful, then just leave me a comment and say, you know, yay or nay, and we'll go with that. Now this pink, this is spun sugar, and I've had this spun sugar for quite a while, and I did mean to actually re-ink it, because I have got a bottle of ink that I could re-ink the pad, but I forgot. So it might take me a little bit longer to just get the pink in the background, because I only want this pink in the background. I know it's going to pick up little bits of the flower around the edge. I'm not worried about that, because when I go over it with my other pink, which is the latest pink from Ranger, the Kitsch Flamingo, it will sort of blend in with that. And if this one doesn't work out, I do have one I did earlier. I could have done Blue Peter, you know, I really could. Only that bit though. This is one I made earlier. So you see how I'm just going in between each flower. I really need to re-ink this pad, because it really isn't very juicy at all. It's one of the earliest ones, and it's probably dried out a little bit, but for the effect that I want today, it's not going to matter, because this pink literally is just in the background. As I say, it's picking up little edges of the dahlia, but that's fine, I'm not worried about that. And it's pretty quick and easy, and I'm pressing on quite hard with this, mainly because I haven't got much in the way of juiciness on my pad, but I really want it on the background pieces, so I want to get it in between the flowers. And at the end of the day, if you don't like the finished effect, it's a piece of card at the end of the day. You could always cut it up and use little elements of it, you don't have to use the whole piece. So I think we'll leave that at that, and then we'll go with the darker pink, which is the Kitsch Flamingo. Now I'm not going to go as heavy handed with this, because I literally want this to sit on top of the flowers and on top of the embossing, so I'm literally going quite light with this pink onto the embossed flowers. Now I'm loving that already, but I am going to the edges of the flowers, because I want it really to cover as much of that spun sugar that's spilled over as possible, because I actually want the flowers to stand out. I want them to sort of leap off the page, if you like. And these brushes just spread the ink so beautifully. Are you having problems, Christine? You're watching ever such a lot. Do your signal keep dropping out? So you can see how quickly the colour is taken to those flowers, and how beautifully they stand out from the background. So you can actually see that there are different colours, although they're, you know, different tones of the same colour. I'm not 100% certain, Connie, to be fair. I know they're on order, and I know that Lisa doesn't usually have to wait too long for things to restock, but they have been extremely popular, so you just have to be a bit patient, unfortunately. They will be back, but I honestly, I couldn't tell you when. Lisa might be able to tell you a bit more tonight, because I'm sure you've all noticed the event banner for Lisa's live tonight. Lisa's going to be doing a bit of stenciling with some different inks, just to show you some different effects. And I do think Lisa is, she does some fantastic demos. I just wish she had more time on TV. So there's my inked flowers, and this was the one I did yesterday. You can see I actually put more in the background yesterday, and I must have had a bit of orange on my brush when I used the spun sugar, because it looks a bit more orangey pink in the background on this one, but I quite like that one, but for what I want to do today, I think I'm going to go with this one because it's more pink than this one, but I will use this one on a different card and then pop that up into the group at some other point. So this is the one I'm going to use today. Now, just before I add it to my card, I'm just going to go around the edge just to take away the stark white edge of this card. Connie, if you go to the website and click on the email me when back in stock, you'll get an email when they come back in stock and they go back onto Lisa's website. So it might be worth just going and having a look and then just adding your name to the email list, and then you'll know as soon as they come back in, you won't miss them. But you'll have to be quick because when those emails go out, the stocks do tend to go down pretty quick. Yeah, it's true. Like me, they never do, and it doesn't matter how hard you try. I've used the same two ink pads on both of these, and yeah, you're right, they do look totally different. It doesn't matter if you try and get them the same, you never will. I think if you watched Claire's live when she was doing her stenciling, none of her two pieces ever look the same, and when we do cards on our lives, the chances of it looking exactly like the example we've shown you quite slim, to be fair. So that's my basis of my card, so I'm just going to put that down there. I really need a new blade in my cutter, I think, because it leaves ragged edges on all my pieces that I've cut. Now when you're gluing your embossed pieces to your base card, so if you're matting and layering, I would tend to be a little bit more generous with your glue, because I mean, I don't know whether you can see how deeply that is embossed. That's the debossed side, and obviously this lifts these pieces away from what you're gluing it to. So I would be a little bit more generous with your glue so that you ensure that you're actually sticking it down securely, rather than it sort of lifting because you've not used enough. And I tend to just do the pieces that are not debossed, so that they're all stuck. And make sure I get it the right way up, because I don't want it upside down, do I? And then add that to my matting and layering, like so. Okay, so now I want to put that onto my easel card, and obviously I'm only going to be gluing half of this to this card here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my square where I want it, and then I'm going to lay it down flat, fold my card back, and just using a pencil I'm just going to draw a faint line down there so that I know where to glue to, because otherwise if I glue too high and it sticks down in the wrong place, then your easel's not going to work. Hi Lisa. Ooh, I bet that's fun. I bet you can't wait, really, can you? You're looking forward to it, I know. Busy, but well worth it. I'm sure you've missed everybody, and I bet they've missed you, because your food always looks amazing. So I'm going to put this back onto my base and lay it flat to add it back, and then hopefully I haven't gone above my line. I haven't, and then I can just stick that down, making sure it doesn't move like it did then. And then I know that when I sit it as my easel, it's going to be in the right place with the right amount of matting and layering, and there's not going to be any glue above the score line of the back piece of card. Okay, The glue. Yes, it is Pinflair, Wendy. Thank you. It's the bookbinding glue from Pinflair. I used to use the Cosmic Shimmer, the specialist acrylic glue, which I still do occasionally. But I just find this doesn't clog as often as the Cosmic Shimmer, and it does have a really good adherence to it. It gives you time to move your things around. Not a great deal of time, but just gives you that little bit of wiggle room to make sure that everything's in the right place. So yeah, Pinflair bookbinding glue, and I get it direct from Pinflair, and their delivery is pretty good, so I usually buy 2 or 3 at a time. It's not the cheapest glue, but to my mind it's one of the best. So that's my main part of my easel, and then before I move on and do the other little bits, I'm going to do my bottom piece of the matting and layering and put it onto the bottom of the card, so that basically I don't forget. So the base of my card, for the bottom of the card, the grey piece is 5 7/8 square, and the pink piece is 6 1/4 inches square. I find that fits nicely on the bottom of the card, which, as I've said, is 6 6/8 square, and it gives a reasonable frame around your matting and layering so that it looks even. So I just pop that down as well. And to be fair, the pink and the grey that I used on the front here are the same sizes. So 6 1/4 by 6 1/4 and 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. And then that fits your embossed piece of card beautifully. So I just pop that down there. Like so. Now this piece is going to be my raised piece that's going to stop my easel part from moving. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I would normally use my 3D glue gel, which is also Pinflair, but because I want this to stand proud and I want it to be able to I want it not to move now, I'm going to use some foam tape, which I don't use a lot of, but for speed and to know that it's not going to move, the 3D foam tape is probably the better option. Hi Elizabeth. Right, so the other thing I did was, sorry, I was reading comments there when I went quiet. I don't like to miss too many if I can help it. So I'll try and read them as I'm doing something else. Having problems with your internet, Elizabeth? You see, you've told me, be brutal with this 3D tape and it'll just peel off at the back. And I always have this problem. I hate 3D tape. So, just bear with. I will get there. Because Elizabeth says it's easy. I think she makes it up as she goes along. Oh, are you having problems as well, Natasha? Oh dear. Well, hopefully, as Heidi said the other night, it won't affect what goes onto YouTube, because my signal seems okay, so hopefully the YouTube video will be fine. I hate 3D tape. Right, so I've also inked my little piece of my embossing, and like I said to you, just finding the folder, all I've done is put a piece of card over, don't stick it to that door, just put a piece of card over the For You and emboss it through my machine, and then I've cut it out using the nested slimmed rectangles. Little bit on the fiddly side, but well worth it. And then I've just inked it in exactly the same way as you see me ink this. I've done the background in spun sugar, and I've done the top in Kitsch Flamingo. Yeah, it's not normally me, Elizabeth. I'm not normally gentle. I'm quite brutal. But me and 3D tape just don't get on. So, I'm going to put that there. I think it's straight. Okay, so that's my stopper for my easel. So that's not going to move now. So I can put that to one side while I do the other bits. So, my other bits are, and I've already stuck my circles together because I wanted to make sure that they were stuck today. So as I said, I've chosen 3 different sizes of the scalloped circle and 3 different sizes of the plain edge. Now I've gone for the dahlia flower to go on the top here, whereas yesterday I used the rose, and I've used inks on here, but the edges I did with pencil, and I used Lisa's polycolour pencils from Koh-i-Noir, and I've just, all I've done is coloured them in with the pencil, and then I've blended them with the blending solution, and I've used the paper stumps to blend it with. They are still in stock on Lisa's website. The pencils are coming back to TV next week. The best deal is by the bundle, which is $29.99, and there are still 4 of those bundles in stock. If you just wanted the pencils, they're $19.99. So if you were looking at getting into pencil colouring but can't afford things like polychromos or Prismacolors, or the, you know, the, what are the others? I can't remember the name now. Somebody will pop me a reminder in. Can't remember. Oh, Caran d'Ache, that's it. They are quite pricey, but if you wanted a set to start you off with, then you can't really go wrong with that set from Lisa. So again, I'm going to use the same inks, but I'm only using the dark ink on this because I only want the embossed part of the flower to be inked on this. I'm not using the spun sugar on this one. I just want this one to be a little bit more gentle, but I want it to be noticeable on the circle, but I don't want to leave it plain white. I want it all to have colour, and I want it all to tie in. So that's really as simple as it gets, and then it can go on my, yeah. So for the butterflies, I'm going to use the same pink. I'm just using it very, very gently, because what I'm also going to do is add a bit of glitter to this. Now you'll see on this one that I've already coloured the body, and I knew I'd left the pencils out for a reason. Because the butterfly's body isn't the same colour as his wings, all I've done is literally, as lightly as possible, go over the body. Now there is embossing on this body, but you probably lose a bit of that because you're colouring it in black pencil. But it is literally just going over, dead gentle. Doesn't matter about the pencil lines. And I've done the same on the little antennae, and I've just gone over the embossed part with the edge of the pencil just so as it stands out a little bit. And then I've used one of the blending stumps. There's 8 of these blending stumps, by the way, numbered 1 to 8, all different thicknesses for different jobs, but they all work the same way. And all I'm going to do is just blend that pencil colour in so that it's smooth. And that way it works into those embossed lines, but without actually colour in it too much. I don't know whether you can see that. Okay, yeah, there are Derwent as well, Natasha, I've got those as well, but I don't say that too loudly. I've got watercolours as well, and I really should use them more. So I'm just going to do the same with this one as I did with the smaller one. Lightly go over with the Kitsch Flamingo, just to add a little bit of colour. And then I thought I might just go over with a little bit of purple. Now this is shaded lilac, and it can tend to look a little bit on the blue side. I'm hoping not. Oh, that's perfect. Just to give it a little bit of different interest rather than totally pink. And you see how beautifully these blend. I mean, I'm just putting purple over the top of the pink, but to me that just blends beautifully without too much effort. Just a little bit there. So you can see how quick that was. So now I want to put, haven't got a piece of copy paper, bear with. I want to put a bit of glitter on my butterflies, and I'm going to use one of Lisa's Twinkle Sprinkles interference glitters, which is what I used on the originals. I'm using the rainbow dust on this, and all I'm going to do is use my quickie glue pen, and I'm just going to follow the embossing lines on the butterfly. So I'm literally putting the glue where those embossed lines are. Not many, just to really give it a little bit of interest when it's added to the card. Perfect. You see that? I mean, there isn't much glitter on there at all, but because it's an interference glitter, depending on which way you hold the butterfly, you'll get a different colour depending on how you're looking at it, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's the first one, and I'm going to do exactly the same on this one. I'm just following the embossed lines on the butterfly with my quickie glue pen. It's so satisfying, this. Just adding that little bit of difference. I was going to do the body, but I changed my mind because I thought, well, normally you wouldn't get shimmer on the body of the butterfly, would you? You'd only get the shimmer on the wings when they're sort of sitting in the sun. That's when you see different little aspects of shimmer on a butterfly. So I'm holding by the tail and then put my glitter on. Okay, so those are my two butterflies glittered. Now I can see there that I've got a huge chunk of mermaid tails in there. I'm not sure where that's come from, but we'll get rid of that and then get rid of my glitter before I knock it all over the place, which is something I do quite a lot. And I've got to be honest, this glitter, as well as Lisa's mermaid tails, lasts forever. It's one of those things that every time you use it and you put it back in the pot, it makes you wonder whether you've actually used any. Well, that's good, Annette, you'll love them. As I say, me personally, I find that they're one of my staples in my crafting stash. So now I'm just going to add my butterflies and my flower to my card. But what I'm going to do first is add my circles to my card, because I'm going to use my 3D glue to attach these to my card, and I don't want to squash them. So if you want this to go in a 7x7 envelope, when you add your circles to your easel, make sure that the ruffle on your circles sits just inside your card. Otherwise it's not going to fit inside a 7x7 envelope, which this one won't, because it's sitting quite proud of this. I have tried it, it won't fit. This is going to have to go in an 8x8 envelope. Well, I've got a spare one, so it's not a problem, but just something to bear in mind when you're putting it together. If you've got spare bigger envelopes, then that's great, but if you haven't, just bear that in mind. So I'm just going to add this to my base, and then I can put my flower on afterwards. I'm going to do it this way because I don't want it to stick where it shouldn't be. So it's going to sit just outside that pink, but when I fold it back down it should still be within the white. I'll just move it over a little bit. You see that glue gave me a chance to move that before it actually stuck, but I have to say, once it's stuck down, this bookbinding glue, it very rarely moves anywhere. The only thing you might find is that because the Distress Oxides are quite chalky, that you might just have to have a bit of patience and holding it down to make sure it's glued properly, because the moisture from the chalkiness might just affect how this sticks down. So then I'm going to put this one so that it again sits inside the white part of my card. So I'll put my glue on here, and you can see I am being quite generous, and again that's because I want it to stick to this quite chalky finish here. So that one there. Now obviously when I'm doing this and pressing really hard, I am going to lose some of the deepness of the embossing, but because I've covered it over, I don't think it's really going to make any difference anyway. And then my other little one is going right in the bottom corner, like so. And then I can add my my flower and my butterflies with my 3D glue, and I haven't got to worry about sticking these down because they're already done. So I'm just going to bend the edges over on that, just to give it a little bit more sort of 3D-ness, if you like. And then I'm just going to use my 3D glue gel and stick this down onto my grey card. Now the other thing that you'll notice on the original was I didn't use any pearls, and you know me, I like pearls, especially Lisa's pearls because they're so beautiful. So I'm using pearls on today's card, and I'm going to add those in a second. So there's my first flower. Now you see when I said one butterfly was slightly smaller than the other, see, it's not much, but it's just enough to make it look a little bit different. I didn't want to use the bee on here because I didn't want to change my colour scheme. I wanted it to be all pinks and greys. If I'd have put the bee on, I'd have had to have had black and orange. I'll put that butterfly there, like that, and then this one will face in the other direction on this last circle here. And then my last little thing to do will be to add my finishing touches with my, do you know how many times I've done that today? Gone to put the wrong top on the wrong bottle. Right, so that butterfly is going in the other direction, like so. So there's my 3 elements on the front. Now I also wanted to use, as I say, the banner sentiments because I just love them, and I'm adding this here. Now I've got a choice because I stamped several sets, I can either use the pink or the grey. So while I sort my pearls out, you decide, pink or grey. Wouldn't be a dawn card without pearls, you're quite right, Elizabeth. So what am I using? Am I using a pink sentiment or a grey sentiment? You tell me while I find my pickup tool, which is in here somewhere. Grey. So I've got one for grey. Anybody else? Pink. Pink. Ooh. Oh, Elizabeth, you're losing. Pink seems... Oh, 2 for grey, 3 for pink. Oh, I don't know. I think if I use pink, I think it'd be too much. So I think I'm going to go, looking at the comments that are popping up now, it's going to be grey, because I think grey is just about winning. So again, I am going to do that and raise it up slightly. So I'm going to use my 3D glue and raise that up, because it fits in with the other sentiment that I've used as my easel stopper, because now the card says with love for you rather than just for you, which I like. So I'm going to pop that there, because I think that's just the perfect place for it, because it's not too far away from this one, and I think it would stick out here, whereas it sits beautifully inside the embossed piece of card there. So last thing, my pearls. Now I've used large and small. These are still in stock, the candy pink, the barley and the spearmint. They're a set of 3. They have a beautiful finish on them that just changes colour depending on how you look at them, and that's again why I like them. So because I'm going down in ascending size of circles, I'm also going to go down in ascending size numbers wise. So on my flower, I'm going to be adding, oh, my glue's bunged up. Oh, there we go. Going to be adding 3 on there, and I'm using the small ones on here. Don't worry about the glue that squishes out, because it dries clear anyway. So I've done 3 on there. I've gone down a size on here, so I'm using 2 on here, and I've gone down a size again on here, so I'm just using 1 on there. Okay, and then just to finish it off, I've got 3 for each side, and I'm going to go 3 up the side there, and then I'm going to go 3 along the bottom there, just because I like to be different. I don't like total symmetry. I think some symmetry is nice, but I don't like it all to be symmetrical. I like it to be a little bit off centre or not matching, or like this does. So that's today's card, and I think you'll agree it is very different to the original card. I think I've got to be honest and say the pink one is my favourite, but I just wanted to show you that you don't have to use the whole of the folder. You can use elements of the folder, and that's partly why Lisa's done this die with some of the folders. I mean, some of the folders are easier to do dies with than others, and it makes sense. Also, it's a a cost thing. If you tried to do a die for the in the garden, you'd have to decide which one you were going to have the die for. That would be a difficult choice. But as I've said, cutting them out isn't difficult. Because of the embossing, the deepness of the embossing, they are really easy to cut out, fiddly but easy. So yeah, there you go, 2 easel cards quickest, easiest easel cards you'll ever make. Just use a card blank, fold the top piece in half. Dead easy. I've got to be honest, the pink one's my favourite. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Don't forget, Lisa's going to be doing a live tonight in her page, on her page even. But we will share it here into the group so you won't miss anything. So if you're not friends with Lisa, don't worry, because the video will be in the group here as well. Then she's back on your screens on the 23rd, and everything that I've used today is going to be back on the TV on the 23rd. Excuse me. The only folder that won't be is the variegated leaves, but all the others will be on TV along with the pencils and one or two other things. So I hope you enjoyed that. Claire will be back with you Tuesday, Natasha will be back with you Wednesday, and then I'll be back next Friday. And hopefully, like I say, I'm going to be doing a little bit of inking with different inks and showing you how to use them in different ways and what they're best for. So have a good weekend, enjoy your crafting, and I'll see you again very soon. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care everybody. Bye.